It's week 38. Yeah, 38. And I'm looking at this summer house roof that needs repairing here at Sunnyside. You have no idea. I wish there was a way I could communicate to everybody how much I really do not want to do this job. I can tackle the undergrowth, the brambles, I can do the digging out of all the rubbish and wild areas, but repairing and refelting a roof, it's just not my thing, but it has to be done. Anyway, wilderness aside, I hope there's a few things you can find of use in this week's offerings. I'm afraid we're getting a bit repetitive now, because to run a year in the nursery is actually, it's a very circular thing. You know, the season starts and we go round in a big circle and start again. So it's hard not to be repetitive. Anyway, we'll try and keep it as informative, human and amusing as possible. The Royal Horticultural Society have said we are in crisis. The industry is lacking youngsters coming through. This is Eggleston Hall Gardens, and over the next 12 months we're going to take you on a journey of what it's like to run a nursery garden. There we are. All done, Clara. You happy with that?
I am.
Excellent.
Not as bad as I thought it'd be. It's quite actually easy when you get the hang of it.
Don't tell people that. If you do private
Be
gardening...
careful, but you always have to just be careful, because I was thinking, like, you know, occasionally my mind just went off the fact that my legs were there. So you just have to be careful.
Well, you're on a dip here as well. It's quite a slope.
So,
but when you do private work for people, you never tell them that it's really easy. You always tell them
it's not really easy if you're not used to it.
Tell them it's really hard, then you put the money up then.
I mean, I could barely get it started the first time, but then it was just because I had the wrong technique, that's why.
You need to give it a good pull.
And plus
a good yank.
I know, I was doing that, but I was just getting a bit stuck partway through, so. But then I was just gonna, afterwards I just did it with one and it was away, yeah. But Thomas did start it up when it's cold, so.
Well, it just needed a bit of choke. Yeah. You've done it a few times, you'll find it's easy enough. It's just a bloody edge clipper. It's just a big one. I said we would keep an eye on the Indian ink plant, the Phytolacca americana. You can see now that the berries are starting to, or the seed heads are starting to turn purple at the bottom. It's a very inky sort of plant, sometimes called the Indian ink plant, but yeah, I love this plant. I think it's really good. We'll see it again when it's almost turned completely. There's there's a Rudbeckia over here that I really like. This is Rudbeckia julibrissin, and it's just so lovely for the middle or the back of a border. Some people with herbaceous borders, they like to plant all the tall stuff at the back and then grade it down. And I tend not to like that. I quite like having middle stuff, especially when there's a path either side of the bed. You have the tall stuff in the middle. But even if it wasn't an island bed, it's nice to have, I feel, just some taller stuff in the middle that flowers at a different time, so you can have it so that the stuff at the back comes into flower, and as it's going over, the tall stuff in the middle comes through, like these Rudbeckias. It's such a lovely, cheerful plant. But this is about 8 foot tall, I would say, 8 to 9 foot. It's well up there. As is the Joe Pye weed. We looked at that last week. There's some more julibrissin over there, way up above the guttering of the glass house. Look at that bastard there. Yeah, I have to admit that they're cheerful things, but we get them all over and in the pots and everywhere because they come out of the birdseed. There's a plant at the back there. It's called Stewartia. I think it's Stewartia camelliifolia or something like that. And it has a lovely autumn colour, and it's supposed to have really nice flowers. They're a bit rose camellia type. Rose or camellia, single rose sort of camellia type flowers. But it's a very, very shy flowering with us, and I don't know whether it's the soil pH or what it is, but you can see the autumn colour is lovely. It's just starting on this one branch and then it'll move up all over. It's a nice thing. Two of my favourite varieties of Pieris. I just love these forms of it. This is a variety called Little Heath Green, and it's very congested in its foliage, but it's absolutely lovely. It only grows to about 2.5 foot, about 80 centimetres, something like that. But Little Heath Green, it just has this abundance of foliage, and it's nice and compact. It has the red stems, and it has white flowers with sort of, they have come from pink buds, little waxy bells. There's also the straight Little Heath. Little Heath Green is nice, but every bit its equal is just the straight Little Heath, which is this lovely silver variegation. You can see it has these nice red shoots on it. I really rate these plants. If you take a simple variety, a common variety like Mountain Fire, you can see the leaf is much bigger and the foliage is more open. With these two, they are it's quite congested, the foliage, but it just adds to it. It's like a little ball of beauty. I really like them. They do, of course, have to have an acid soil. So you could, but grow them in pots in ericaceous if you're not acidic soil. I love them. We're looking down these shrubs. You've got some nice choicea over there. There's another Pieris here. What's this bugger? Prelude. No idea what that does. There's some Berberis. Some Cornus controversa variegata over there. Loads more hydrangeas. I think Thomas has been having a bit of a pot up and a prepare for next year with those. We do lots of them. Yeah, it's all about next year and the year after, I suppose, in many ways. The Sobaria Sem, that's sort of changing to autumn colour now. It's a nice time of the year. I find it quite relaxing because you sort of look forward to the end of the silly season, the end of the rush, and you know. Oh, bye bye, Helen. It's Helen leaving. Yeah, and you look forward to the end of the rush, and yeah, you know, the work is different in the winter. It's no easier, but you're not stressed with customers and all of the, you know, having to explain things. There's no watering as such to do, a bit of polytunnel watering, but the watering is such a big thing, and it's very, very tiring, very tiring. So I'm not going to miss it. I don't know last week if we had a look at these agapanthus, and yeah, I just can't remember. It doesn't matter. It wasn't very exciting, and they've gone over a bit now. I was just going to compare the blue one to a white one, but they were. Look at that, that's a nice white. Here's the thing now. These are artichokes, not the Jerusalem artichokes that make you fart like hell. These are globe artichokes. And the posh knobs, they boil these, I think, and then they pull off the scales and sort of like chew on the flesh inside them. And they dip them in some sort of vinaigrette thing. I have to be honest, I have had them, and I wouldn't miss any. You know, I wouldn't feel like I'd missed out in life if I never had another one, because I thought they were a lot of crap, to be honest. I think posh people like them. I bet Amanda likes them. I'll ask her tomorrow. We'll have to ask her if she actually likes. Who's ever had a globe archer? Let's see how posh she really is then, because I think there's a hidden peasant in her somewhere. We are blowing a gale here today, so I've tried to do some filming, but it's impossible, so it may end up being a short week this week. Just looking at these little eucalypts, looking a bit hungry. But these are snow gums, you know, Eucalyptus nymphophilia, but right in the middle of them is one oddity. Look at that. You see how it goes through the middle of the leaf? This is Eucalyptus perenniana. It's a lovely thing. We have one up the garden, but it still goes long and strap-like leaves when the adult foliage develops, but it's a very, very nice thing. Look at it. Yeah, Eucalyptus perenniana. Excellent job. We took some helianthemum cuttings last week. You can see they're looking okay. Just little soft cuttings. I'm sure we filmed it. I do apologise for that. I forget things, but yeah. Tomatoes. Must say, bloody butcher. I wasn't too impressed with it actually. I found the tomatoey taste a bit tomatoey, really, a bit strong. Not eucalyptus. Oh, the wind's even coming in here. I think maybe next week we might open up this roll of osteospermums. I'm not in any hurry to, but obviously if there is some root on them, we would like to get them potted and maybe get a bit of root in before winter. But there's no yellowing or anything, so they've been in there. I can't remember. I think it's 3 weeks. I'm always telling people you must put the date on things you do. You must put the date on over and over, and then I forget to do it myself. Well, that's allowable. I just give somebody else a bollocking. Do as I say, not as I do. Isn't that terrible? I'm sure Thomas will remind me. We haven't been in this, well, I haven't taken you through this shade house for quite a long time. I don't know if I explained, this was an old glass house like the others. Unfortunately, in a gale, the lid came off. There was sheets of glass flying across the gardens horizontally. It was in such a bad state, so what we did was paint it green and put shade netting on it, having removed all the glass and made the structure relatively sound. To put it down as a glass house would have been pointless, because in all honesty, because we sell hardy plants, too much glass isn't much use. Tunnels are okay for growing young stuff on, but these fancy glass houses, no. Very often they're lovely for visitors to see if they're kept nice, but we've got one or two for that. So we just turned it into a shade house, and it's very, very effective. We keep camellias in here. You can see these camellias. We keep ferns in here, some ferns, because not all ferns like shade. And then, of course, when we have young plants of the Himalayan poppies, the blue poppies, Mechanopsis grandis or Betonicifolias, as it used to be called Baileyi, but you know how these names change. And they're doing quite well. They're young plants, but they're okay. You can see they're a typical thing. We'll put those on a bit further in the spring. There's actually the white form there, which we get for its unusual, because it's, you know, it's unusualness, if that's a real word. Is unusualness a real word? Yeah, I'm getting a nod. Anyway, the white one, yeah, we get it, but to be all honest, if people want a blue poppy, they want a blue poppy. It's the colour that attracts them. The white one, well, it looks like a poached egg, really. And there's various other things, so it comes in handy. The dactylorhiza, the hardy orchid, the marsh orchid, dactylorhiza fuchsii. You saw them earlier in the year. They grow on here. They're dying back now, but they like this sort of habitat. Camellias, yeah, they seem to benefit in it here, some of them anyway.
So here, finally getting around to putting on some of the babies that we got sent back off Matthew. Now, people might recognise this one. This is the one, the cryptomerid, that we've videoed a couple of times. It's Cryptomerid Japonica raisin, or raisin, which is how Laura likes to pronounce it, and its name in Japanese, it means barber's pole, because see, you get in this country the traditional barber's pole where it's white and the red stripes around. It's how these needles wrap itself around the stems of the plant. So
I never knew that.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Carry on.
Yeah, so I'm doing just like we always do, take shoulder off, get rid of any weeds and weed seeds, and just so these get themselves settled in before sort of winter time. Just potting them into 1 litre, nothing massive, just a little moderate potting up really. And putting them into, this is some compost that we've got, we've mixed this with some composted bark. Now we've done this, we've not really done this before, apart from we did it with a bit of an experiment in spring with potting on some conifers, because talking to people who grow conifers, they'd grow theirs in like a mix which is 50% pine bark, which is what this is. This is just pine bark mixed with a bit of compost, maybe not quite 50-50, but it just adds a bit more drainage and a bit more roughage to the compost, because conifers are something that particularly can rot off quite easily, especially in pots, and we only really need to do this in them in the young stage. When they get old enough they should be fine, but just to give them the best start really.
Thank you, Thomas.
Alright.
I'll go and get that bill now.
Yeah, they've been waiting long enough.
Bollocks.
Well, the next job to do is to do all the seed picking on site and off site. This is our okigami, our mature okigami, and it usually produces a really good seed and a good seedling. There are lots on there this year, but there's not so much on some of the other plants. It's not as good a year. It has been the last 2 years, there's been bumper crops, but there's plenty on here to be getting on with. So it's gone off colour. It always goes off colour before it then really colours up for the autumn, but it's a really good plant. You get them up above, get them high enough, and when you stand underneath, when they're starting to turn, you get olive green, brown, orange, red, and then it goes bright red. So it's quite a nice one. Yeah, okigami. There's quite a bit of seed on our green dissectum viridis this year again, but we can sow all of the seed and you may get 1 or 2 or even none come through with a dissected leaf. It doesn't throw very good seed. You just get your basic red or green palmatum leaf, but we still usually pick them and try each year because they cross-pollinate so much here. We've got so many. You might get the odd year when it would throw good seed, but this tree, we were given it 30 odd years ago, and the chap said it was about 70 years old then, so it's about 100 years old. It has suffered the last few years with the dry springs and summers that we've had, but it's still hanging on in there. You keep it watered, keep it going. It even looks lovely in the winter when the leaves are off. You can see the exposed branches, the contortion of the branches. It's lovely. That's Acer palmatum viridis dissectum. God, it's looking pretty empty in here, Soph.
Right.
What are you up to then?
Picking these ones. I was going to go on the other one. The ladder's a bit wobbly.
Oh, right. Oh, we don't want a wobbly ladder, especially on a slope.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like below ones.
Oh, that's some on Orangiola, isn't it?
What, this one?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Gosh, I think we need to cut the grass and do a bit of maintenance. As soon as I finish grafting this week, I'll get on and... Oh, damn. It's all right, my battery went off. As soon as I finished grafting this week, I'll come in and sort these tunnels out. It's a bit forgotten when I'm doing that. Is there many on there?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Coming to the end of it, this one. Get the orange.
Yeah. Don't think we've had them on Orangiola before. Orangiola's a really nice one because it's sort of tonal. Doesn't look much at the moment, but you always get some green and red on there. But these branches are the ones that have been underneath, so they're a bit out of the sun. But yeah, it's just on its way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Autumn colour. I think the pot grown ones seem to go before, don't they?
Hmm.
Right, I better go back grafting. Oh, let's have a look. Oh, there's a few in there.
That's from those ones that were planted.
The ones outside the door.
Weren't many.
Yeah,
I
just
think
a
the
few.
squirrels must have had some.
Well, yes. I did wonder. Right, nice one.
Picking seeds?
Clever boy.
They're dissectum seeds. Can you say dissectum?
Dissectum.
Good boy. It's just about your height, isn't it?
Another one on here.
Yeah. There's loads under to your left.
Here.
There's some there, yeah. There's a good boy. You can pick that whole bunch. Pick it all in one go.
I'm going to pick one first.
Okay, one at a time. You pick seed like Sophie. That's just about your size, isn't it? Do you like picking seed?
Yeah.
What you got there, Soph?
Little mouse.
A little mouse?
Yep.
Aww.
Dinky little one.
Don't tell Matthew.
No.
Oh, it's a vole.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah. I think so, yeah. I'll have to put it back.
Do you want to keep it?
No, no. If you put it back by the, where the pot was, if you wrap it up in that grass and just put it back down, the mother will be about somewhere.
Dry as hell.
Yeah. Aw. That's it. And just pop him down.
Thought I could hear something in there.
That's the trouble when the pots get left.
Let's hope I'm squashing the others.
Find a nice warm place down there somewhere where he's not going to be disturbed. There's a lot of weeds around here.
Hide them in there.
That's right.
If I see any more, I'll put them in there.
Yeah, when it's quiet, the mother will probably come back and move them. Then, so
Yeah, 960.
960 so far today, and it's just gone 3:45. You get your 1,000 done?
Huh?
You'll get your 1,000 done.
Oh, yeah.
Well done. So, how many have you done then? Nearly there?
1,050 with this one.
Well done. 1,050, crikey. And it's still only 4:20. Doing well today. Again.
Yeah.
Sophie's been here potting since she was 16, is it, Soph?
15 and a half, I think.
15 and a half. The half is important. Yeah.
Yep.
She stands in here on her own most of the time, but she does have company sometimes with the little Robin. She puts out some mealworms for him, but he's not been in lately, has he?
No.
And then there's the pigeon's nest up the
I've
top
had
there.
the cat before.
The cat before, yeah, the cat buggered off. And then there's a pigeon nest up there sometimes. They swing on the lights with the youngsters. And yeah.
Hello.
Well, Laura, I thought you were supposed to be grafting.
I know. I'm just relaxing with my niece. I'm multitasking. Crafting and babysitting. Right, mate? You're learning the family trade, aren't you?
She's the very youngest of the
Empire.
Skinner clan, or McConaughey clan.
She's a Skinner.
She is a Skinner, that's very true.
I'm a McConaughey.
You're a McConaughey.
Her mother's lost her locking wheel nut, so
She's
lost a lot more than that.
She lost a lot more than that.
So she's just trying to find it in the car because the mechanics come to fix it. Hey, mate.
Right, I better get on and do some grafting.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Oh,
Shoo.
you're cute.
This is a filter. This here, all the water that goes out goes through this filter. Inside the filter is a screen, the water is pushed through this, and you can see in there it's absolutely covered in shite. So I thought, while I was watering, I thought, this just isn't very good. So I need to go down and just clean this out because it's disgusting. we might get some water pressure back then. Well, last week we had some, I mentioned that when I was going to bring the Sunnyside garden around, I would be using some glyphosate on the regrowth. And we've had a few comments about the dangers of glyphosate, which I'm quite aware of. And thank you for the comments. They actually make a lot of sense. However, glyphosate is a chemical that is probably the least damaging of what used to be available. Most of the when I started gardening, we used something called 2,4,5-T, which was a defoliant. I think in America they used it as an agent for defoliating agent it was Agent Orange, that was it. That was banned a long time ago. Many other things have been banned. But glyphosate, it's translocated. It goes from the leaves into the root and the plant dies. In this country, and I assume in other countries, it would be very, very hard to grow agricultural crops without the use of glyphosate, because what are you going to do? Are you going to go and use labour for weeding? Who are you going to get to do day after day of hoeing? There are so few methods of weed control that are either efficient or economically of any help. We can't get, in England, we can't get people to pick fruit when it's ready, let alone do a day's hoeing or day after day of hoeing or hand weeding and stuff like that. It just doesn't happen. People don't want to do physical labour. So chemicals are used. Sadly, I mean, I would be very happy to do day after day of physical labour. Well, not happy, but I mean, that's how it used to be done. We have to do a compromise with some of this stuff, and glyphosate is useful for on paths, for example, gravel paths. I can't see there's going to be much of a problem with it there. Also, the application of it. Now, the traditional way of putting glyphosate in gardens is to use a sprayer. Now, when you use a sprayer, it's a blanket system. Lots and lots of it is going all over the ground, all over the soil. So it's very, very, it's a bit heavy-handed way of doing it amongst shrubs. I wouldn't be using it for vegetables and stuff like this if you're in the garden and you want a reasonable garden. One of the ways of doing it is to apply it just to the foliage. Now, this is a little machine called a wiper. You can see it's got a wick at one end, and it's a long tube, and you put your mixture in there and it gradually releases it, and then you just brush the foliage if you're on amongst shrubs or borders, so that the actual active ingredient, the glyphosate itself, is actually just brushing the leaves. That's fine for areas of leaf, but what happens if you've got bindweed that's running up through shrubs or trees or other climbing weeds? Another way of applying it just to the leaf. They can wait a minute. Hello. Oh, thank you. Another way of doing it is to apply a rubber glove. I haven't got a rubber glove, but you could use a washing up glove, and then an old woolly glove or absorbent glove over the top of it. You can then spray a bit of glyphosate onto the woolly glove or dip it into a mixture, and then you can run your hand up the weed like this. If it's bindweed up a shrub, you can just run it up the stem where the bindweed is going around. So that's another way. It's effectively a hand wiper. So using wipers is very, very effective. The other thing that you should do to keep the amount of respray, you don't want to be doing it twice, is to add a food colorant to it and a wetter. A little bit of washing up liquid will make it go further and make it absorbed by the leaf easier. And the other thing is a blue dye or a red dye or something like that, so that you can see where you've used it. So you keep the amount of it that you're using to a minimum. Those are my views on the application. The sprayers are pretty much a blunt instrument. Wipers are very effective if you can get one that's useful. You can use it amongst trees and shrubs and things like that. I would try not to do it. If you're going to be growing your own vegetables, then no. But you do need to use another method of weed control, and that requires physical effort and, you know, weeding and hard work. The Salix britsensis is just starting to colour up before it loses its leaves for the winter. It will become a lovely bright orange. We're just having a little, Clara and I are just having
that Sorbus November
a wander. Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
It is, isn't it?
You said Thomas planted it.
Yeah.
When was that?
Oh, a couple of years back. It's not really, we should stop the grass growing around the bottom, and it's just been shoved in there, but it's such a lovely colour. It's called, what is it?
November pink.
Yeah.
Sorbus.
It's a little bit out of time, I think.
But it was quite pink, you know, earlier on as well. It's been that colour for a while.
Some years ago, when we were filming for Gardeners World, we planted this. This was a nice a betula, Duran Boss.
Birch.
Yeah, birch, Clara, you're quite right.
Betula is the Latin name.
Right, let's have a little look round what we got. I see your tip cuttings are still doing well. Haven't got them down yet.
Oh, yeah. There's blackberries. Wait, are they ready?
Not all of them. Some of them are, yeah.
You see the root at the bottom of the pot?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yep.
So we can cut them off.
We can go through and cut those off sometime. They'll make saleable plants for next year. One of the
Can you smell that Cicidophyllum? Because now the leaves in the last week, because I've noticed I'm actually only here for practical day because I'm at college this week online due to COVID, and I've noticed suddenly how the leaves have just dropped, and now I can smell the Cicidophyllum, which smells a lovely candy floss colour, and not colour, candy floss scent. So also
that's Cicidophyllum pendulum, Japonica
Japonica.
pendulum. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a beauty. We've noticed over this year that a lot of them suffered early on because of the late frosts. What else have we got down here, Clara?
Yeah.
Irises. That's some young britsensis, Salix britsensis.
Those are the osteospermums. I've moved them up here.
Those were your cuttings.
Yeah, because it's a bit too warm and the.
It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, I've lost. What have I done? I was just gonna say I've lost the bay cuttings that I was doing, so I couldn't. Oh, we'll go down there in a minute anyway. But so I've come in for a practical day, and I've been learning about alternate and opposite pruning.
Right.
Well,
should we go down to the bay tree and you can show us what you've learnt?
We also need to find an opposite one because the bay's alternate buds. So, come here.
Yes, Mum.
So this, I mean, you can see there, that's opposite the buds. So, I've just been learning. So basically, just like cut there, just above those two buds because they're opposite. And so that's all I've been really learning about the different types of pruning. And obviously the apples have got alternate buds. You know how I was doing the summer pruning.
Yeah.
So there's like one bud there coming off alternate. So I just cut them just above the bud at an angle, and that's what you do. But with opposite, you cut straight across.
Well, we can give an example of that with this bay tree.
Got my so see all the alternate buds. So how they're just coming off in different directions.
I just noticed something. The bay has opposite as well as alternate.
Ah, that's
Very
really
interesting. I've never noticed that before. Can you take that one right out?
yeah.
Let's have a look at it closely.
Wait a minute. Oh, so it's going like alternate there, and then until it's probably how it was cut or something like that.
No, I was just looking up the stem. Look,
Yeah.
you would say that it was alternate. Do you see? There's a leaf
No,
there and a leaf
yeah.
there. Then there is a pair of opposite leaves.
Yeah, I mean not all.
That's really interesting.
This bay that has been trained to be like this through all the pruning we've been giving it. And what you look for with pruning, there's a bit of dead there. First you look for, well, we say the 3Ds at college. So dead, damaged or diseased shoots. Because I know that coral spot is a disease that you'll have to cut out. Or if there's any dead, like dieback from last year, which I've taken most of it out. Yeah, I've taken really most of it out. You just want to chop that bit off, that's just dead. And then also, I mean, I know with some of the apples along the wall, any like cross rubbing branches, because if you have like branches crossed with each other, it's a bit like rose pruning also, then they could rub together over time with wind, and that can cause an open wound for disease to get in there. So you look for. And then also overall you're pruning for the shape. So
Well, that's quite a nice shape. Do you know how long that one's taken to get this way, Thomas?
like 4 years.
15 that's taken to grow like that.
I thought it grew quicker. Oh my goodness.
Do you know the 4 Ds
I
of
didn't-
pruning, or 3 Ds or whatever it is?
I think it is.
3 Ds of pruning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
college. We learned that last year.
3 Ds.
Dead, damaged,
Disease.
diseased.
And that's what you look for firstly.
Yeah, but what about crossing branches?
Yeah, I said that.
Exactly, see?
But,
3 Ds in the sea.
I feel
3
like
Ds in the sea.
there's 4 Ds, but I don't know. I don't think. As long as you know what you look for. You know.
I think what Clara's learned, if it's 4 Ds, is damaged, disease, dead, dicking about.
Yeah, dicking
That's
about.
Here she's pruning that one that sold.
I'm not. Well, I know.
That one's sold, Clara. What are you
Yeah,
pruning that
just-
for?
I
Sold?
wasn't
What are you pruning that for?
pruning
She's
Is that
pruning
one
the sold
sold?
one. She's pruning the
15
sold
years worth of work, and that bugger goes for 100 quid. That's disgusting.
I thought
hang
it'd
on,
be-
I'll get my tiny violin for you.
I didn't think you would have had them here for that long, so.
Well, that's how long it took to train the bastard. Bloody time.
The tree does look quite, large for that, so.
Don't rub it like that, Clara. It's provocative.
Well, Malcolm has said I can read another poem because nobody complained about the last one. So I'm out in the garden here and amongst the trees, just been joined by my little friend Pepper. And I'm looking around at the bird boxes. I've been taking photographs of them. The garden's absolutely full of them, made by people who work here now, who used to work here. Thomas's granddad made a couple of beautiful bird boxes. And so I'm going to read a little poem about bird boxes. Build me a house and make it of wood, so the trees will recognise it and hold it close. When the skies are darker and March is sooner reached by ploughing on than looking back, when the leaves are clinging to the boughs, reluctant to believe their work is done, build me a house and make it of wood, and I will come in through the unlocked door and build me a home and make it good.
Isn't that a lovely sight? Two doves. It makes me feel quite... Oh, they're buggered off now. This is one of my favourite maples. This is a very old one, and we've hammered it around a bit over the years. This is Fire Glow. Quite an old variety, but in this late summer, late afternoon sunshine, it's just wonderful. It hasn't gone that fantastic translucent colour that they go sometimes. It needs another week or two yet, but it is a very, very fine autumn colour. Enthusiasm. This is our bulb order for this year. It's a bit smaller because last year we had some fantastic looking pots of bulbs, and because of lockdown we had no fucker in here to buy them, so we've got left with quite a few. There were some things that they don't carry over well in pots, so we just gave them away to people that wanted them. I tell you what, that broke Lisa's heart, that the Yorkshire woman didn't give nothing away. Anyway, these here are the bulbs. Camasias, alliums. I've still got boxes to unpack yet. There's hundreds of them. I don't know, what are these? Crocuses, little pots of crocuses. We've got Scillas, Muscari. Some very interesting ones which are for me, they're not for you. Like anemone nemorosa, the little wood anemone, but the blue one, Robinsoniana. But you need to grow them on for a couple of years. They're quite interesting actually. The wood anemones. Let me see if I can find one. Yeah, they are like what us old people will remember as sweet tobacco. When we were kids, you could buy stuff called sweet tobacco. There's nothing like encouraging you to smoke from a young age. But there you are, they're just like thicker sweet tobacco. You don't get that, do you? Did you ever have that as a kid? It used to come in like red things and had all these like strands, and you ate it, and it used to stain your face.
They remind me of, though I've never had them myself, is it twiglets? I think it's a little snacky thing. It looks like just a brown stick.
Yeah, they look like they've been shoved up somebody's bum. Twiglets. Oh, and they taste this sharp. Oh, bloody hell. I think if you like Marmite, you'd probably like twiglets. Anyway, these are fritillaries. You can see them. They have very strange shaped bulbed.
Look like knit narrow, don't they?
Is it gone?
I've just brought her a plant down.
Ah, right, I'll go and sort it. Anyway, that's the bulbs. I'm off now. I'm going to sort of do customer relations.
Be nice to this one. Right. So here's how I'm mixing the compost with the planters. Bag of composted bag. This. Then this one. It's all just very fine, just very nice, light and quite airy feel to it. Well, I want to give it just a bit of guts for the conifers, just so they're not planted purely in this. And they'd be fine planted entirely in this really, but just to save a bit on the bark. And also adding some, and also just to give them a bit of extra, just adding a bit of our own fertiliser as well. This is just the blue, this is the Osmocost. It looks like a lot there, but when I get it mixed in it really does disappear. Just getting the compost, I'm mixing it roughly about 2/3 the bark to 1/3 compost, because I just want to use the compost really, just add a bit of more structure and a bit of peat to it as well. So just add more compost just so there's a bit of peat in the compost I'm using as well. So just a little bit on top like that. I'll spread it about, and then I'll get the 2 shovels. What I'm doing is mix it through like that. I could, if I was doing larger quantities, have a cement mixer we could use, but to be honest, just for this, it's just easy. I'm doing it like this, really. You can see there, as it all gets mixed through, you can see the sort of fertiliser just disappears, and it really just makes a really quite nice and light mix. So hopefully we just have a few less losses with regards to the baby conifer front. And that'll do.
You're talking? Go on then. Talk loudly.
Oh, say, hang on, mate.
Hang on, while we're waiting. There's Sophie. Watering.
Now we mix our compost. We start with 35 bales. Each bale's got 225 litres or 3.8 cubic feet, which makes far more sense. We lay them out like this, then I'll open the bags, and it's not going to be really time lapse, but Laura will just do a little bit all the way along until we end up with 12 cubic metres of cotton compost.
There we go. Matthew's just mixing the compost with the rotavator. Oh, he's just bashing down the barrels. Barrels, bales. This is a lazy way of doing it. He fluffs it out, I don't think you can see this. Just fluffs it out.
Right, well, Laura showed you, we rotivate it so it's all bashed up and then it's flat. There's 67 bags, each one's 60 litres, spread all over the top, and then we go along. Each bag gets emptied out on the top, and we go over it with the rotivator again, which I'm sure Laura will film in a bit.
Yep, thanks Dave. I'm just climbing up the ladder. I'm definitely not a pregnant woman climbing up a ladder. But look, Matthew was just cutting Sagan to propagate, which is here, and we can't cut it because there's 2 little baby pigeons. What are we doing here? There they are, sitting in the nest. Hello you two. You don't normally see baby pigeons around. They normally come up when they're a bit bigger. Hello. You don't normally see 2 pigeons either. So Sagan's going to have to wait. We've got some bits. There they are. It's very pretty, Sagan. See? Anyway, I better climb down. There he is down there. Look, I'm not that high.
Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Right, so now we've got 35 bales, 225 litres of very coarse peat. We've got 67 bags of 60 litres of Melcourt potting bark. Now we had a bag and a third of Osmocote, and the bag is 25 kilos. So that's basically 33 kilos or 72 pounds, isn't it? Spread that all over the top, then it gets rotated twice that way, once that way. Then it gets pushed up into a big heap, which is one of the final mixes. Then that heap gets transposed over so the bottom becomes the top. And obviously as it runs down, that's one, well, it's not actually the last mix. The last mix is when it's picked up in the tractor bucket and put in a big pile in the shed. And I expect Laura will film other bits. So yeah, basically we end up with 12 cubic metres of compost of our own creation.
We like to create our own stuff around here.
And it looks very dry. It is very dry. It has to have water added to it before it's rotated. That's the problem.
The next step.
Yeah.
Go on then, get shaking. I'll just film you do a bit of shaking. Yeah. Action shot.
Eh?
Action shot.
Action shot. always go around the edges first, otherwise we're going to take to get them, but we always thought, well, that's a bit hot covered.
I don't know if you can hear him muttering there.
Eh?
So I don't know if you can hear him muttering.
No, I'm good at muttering.
Look at these nice aces in the background. There's some of our larger specimens that aren't for sale. Stock plants. Yeah, that's it really. I'll film the next step in a minute.
This is one of my favourite hydrangeas. It's not flowering as much this year because, quite frankly, I've never got round to pruning it back a bit. However, it's still very nice. This is Hydrangea aspera villosa, and it has these lovely sort of rayed flowers. They're just very nice, and a nice colour of blue. In a normal year it would be laden, but it needs a little bit of care and attention. Still a very, very lovely thing. Early on in the year the thing looks dead. It really does look like it's suffering, but in actual fact the only suffering it's done this year is just not to put on much by way of bloom. This is a strange plant. It's we've sold out of it more or less now. These are toad lilies, Tricertis hirta. Very, very well, it's sort of interesting as opposed to beautiful, but their propagation techniques are quite well, I'll show you. First off, we need to pick a stem. So let's just have a stem here. That's that one. And then maybe have another one here. And then we'll take them down the potting shed. Right. Now with the toad lilies, quite an unusual plant. At the bottom of each leaf base is a little bud, and we can use those. It's almost sort of like a cross between a bud and a bulbil almost. So we need an internodal cutting. This is just above the leaf. We don't need to worry about a node on the bottom, and there. And there. As I say, this is Tricertis hirta. I've forgotten which variety it is now, but so what we're looking to do with these is just to sit the leaf on the compost, and just going to put that in there. We don't really want the leaves going over each other with these. If your leaf is over the top of the other one, it will cause it to rot. So we want to go around the outside of the pot, just like this. And this, bollocks. And you're looking to get this rosette of leaf just to sit on the compost there. You just want that sitting right on the compost. We'll just get a few more of these. There's no need for any rooting powder with these. I'll explain to you in a moment what's going to happen. I haven't done this for years. When I was a a garden boy, I used to have to do these every winter. Sorry, every late summer, and then we dealt with them in the winter. Now, there you are. I know that looks a bit weird. What's going to happen there is that these leaves are going to die back. And it's going to look a really god-awful mess. But you just bear with it, put them in a cold frame or somewhere shady outside, or you know, or shady in a glass house or somewhere sheltered outside, I mean. And then just leave them. And these will die back, but the little buds from the base of that leaf axil will break into growth next spring, and you'll get individual plants. Now, although this series ends in 15 weeks or 14 weeks time or whatever it is, we will come back. I will do something that comes back to some of this stuff next year. So that is how you do leaf bud cuttings of toad lily. There you are. I hope that was all right. Where have we started?
I was just standing here with my dangly thing.
We are advertising our Christmas trees here. Amanda's got her balls out.
Makes a change from Malcolm.
These Christmas trees, we were debating whether to pop them up last year, but and Thomas has cut them all back to make them bush out more. So we're thinking they're looking very good. And now is the time, because we've only got about 50 or 60 left. Now is the time that you can order them, come and put your name on them, and then collect them later. All of them are in nice pots. All of them are healthily growing away. You probably need a bit of fertiliser on them, which we can do, but they're looking good. So there you are. Well, that's it. That's it. There's not much more to that.
I did bring up some Christmas ears to wear. Well, they're as near Christmas as I've got, but Malcolm said he wouldn't.
What's do you have any like Christmas tree habits at home?
Yeah.
Like, do you all get together and like make up the tree?
Yeah, we all decorate the tree, and then Phil comes in and puts them in different places, tidies it up a bit. Wait, what do you do at yours?
Well, we don't really. Lisa does it. It's not really a thing I get involved in. We've got these little woolly red devil things that I don't like putting on.
Are you sure they're meant to be on the Christmas tree?
I don't know what they are, but they're horrible. Yeah. But every year when they come out, the little bastards are like that, little woolly things.
That's the
We've
thing,
got them out of
isn't it?
Oxfam or something.
With Christmas, though, it's traditions, isn't
Yeah.
it? We have a Christmas story that comes out every year, which was the time the cat swallowed a ball of tinsel, and Mum saw it from the kitchen window, concentrating hard on something from its back door, and she went out and just managed to get her slippered foot on the end of it as the cat ran away, and 4 foot of tinsel came out. I know. How bad is that?
It's like a cheese wire up your anus.
It wasn't good. We had to give it a good wash before we put it back on the tree.
I remember getting into trouble once when I was a little kid. My grandfather told me a joke, which I repeated to his sister. I think it was either Sister Martha or Sister Agnes. I said to her, "What's the difference? No, what does a Christmas tree and Father Murphy have in common?"
Oh dear.
Yeah, ornamental balls. Sister Mary gave me a slap for that.
Were they nuns? They weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
Okay,
nuns.
she would give you a slap for that.
Yeah, she did.
Yes.
She did.
Yes.
If it wasn't a slap, it was the strap. It was one or the other.
Yeah. Oh, good
So
days.
can we have a
Good
look
days.
at this row of these Christmas trees? See how lovely they're looking.
They're going to look better still when they've got some of these dangling from them.
Yeah. Are you going to put them gloves, them things on it?
I think we should.
Go on,
Lisa,
put
do you
them
want to
on
help?
there. No. Put them on there.
What, these? Oh, the ears?
Yeah, go
Oh,
on.
well, why not?
Well, I don't look like a twat.
They do light up actually as well. Is that Christmassy? What do you think? Maybe not.
I don't know, there's a big buck rabbit in there looking very, very sort of excited. I think this has turned into far too much smut to do with Christmas trees.
I know, we don't want to spoil the moment. This is nice, Lisa. Do you like?
But in all seriousness, it is time that we can, if you want them, you better grab them quickly because I think they're going to go.
It's going to be on us before we know it.
Yeah. Can we stop this now? Now, getting back to the Christmas trees and being serious for a minute, these, we can, if anybody wants one, we can take one of these yellow tags, write on your name on it, Hodgson, and then just stick it on. So you can pay for it now and pick it up in December if you want. Failing that, you can pay for it now and take it away now. I'm really not bothered one way or the other. As long as I get $39.95 for it, I don't give a toss.